cutting up some walnuts. So we had a smaller one that we're cutting up now. Just getting it cut up so that it's not rotting in the wood yard. So we've done some different pieces. We're doing some 1 inch and I want some 1/2 inch for a project. So he's working on that now. This is the first of a couple of logs that we're going to do today. So just working on getting that cant so that we can get some good boards out of this. These are going to be mostly clean boards from a cant, and we'll get a couple that have the live edge, but the bigger part of this tree is primarily what we'll get live edge out of. You can see we're going to get one, so because we flipped it over and we want to get a 1 inch piece out of this, he goes ahead and sets the simple set, and then we'll back up, go down the inch, and run it through. For this setup with the blade and everything, normally you go about 1 1/16 inch to compensate for the blade. This blade's a little bit thicker, so we're going 1 1/8 inch to offset that, so we end up with true inch pieces. A lot of what we're looking at on this walnut is just trying to figure out where we can get the prettiest wood from kind of how it grew and how not to waste the majority of it. Here we're kind of talking about there's a little bit of hump at an end, see if we can better utilize a piece by cutting something off. We determined that we can go ahead and kind of get a couple pieces so we don't cut all of it at first and have that little bit of bark, and then turn the laser on and get another about inch piece off. This will have a little bit of the bark on the end, but we'd be able to cut it off and still have about a 9-foot board. So here, getting it flipped again. So next one to come towards us, so just kind of get it to roll and then push it up against the stops. And doing another cut to get that cant. Again, on the bottom, if you utilize the little pieces that come with the clamps, you can clamp it right at the bottom and have not as much of the clamp sticking up, so you don't have to worry about getting into it when you do your cuts. So here we just kind of look at it and determine which part we want to get boards out of and the effect that we'll have from how the tree grew. So just kind of looked at it and determined that the way it was on the mill was how we wanted it. So here I think we primarily do 1 inch boards and a couple of 1/2 inch. So I have a project where I just need some thin boards, so get a couple of those cut as well. So we get as much as we can, and then we always have to measure at the very end and actually come up a little bit so that we get a consistent board one way or the other. And here's kind of some of what we got out of from that tree. So putting the scrap in my slab holder there and getting the bigger part of the tree cooked up. So it's about 14 foot long. We could put the entire thing on, but we'd waste a lot from having that Y at the end, so we go ahead and cut it off, and we'll cut it up separate. But we'll start by putting, this is about 11-foot piece on, and work on getting it cut up. I think it's about 25 inches across, somewhere in that area. It's a fair sized log, but nowhere near capacity of the sawmill. It's about a 35 is what its max is. So here, just getting that picked up to level out the pit. So I'm going through and doing the first cuts on this. Sawmill's pretty happy about going through this. It doesn't struggle too much. That's one of the benefits of the diesel engine. It doesn't have near the struggle for power. Even when we get down into the thicker parts of that tree. So I'll go ahead and set the simple set so that it'll go down and we can get another piece off of that. So whenever I come back, I can just hit the button down and it'll go down to my preset. Either did 1 or 2 inches on this. You have to back up just a little bit extra so I can get that debarker swung around and then I can start the blade. And then just keep bumping that debarker up against the log so that it removes any dirt and bark. So whenever that blade goes in, it's not hitting all that before going through the log. Here we're getting some really pretty pieces. You can see as the log goes under. Some really nice dark spots, but then some light contrasted, so it has a pretty cool effect to it. So after we get that off, we go ahead and take another piece off. So then we just clean that off and set it off to the side. So we'll go ahead and get our rotator around now. Get the clamp set back and use the laser to figure out where we want to take and get another section off. Then most of the time we'll go ahead and do another one. For this project we want some live edge pieces so it works out well, but even if we're not going to utilize the live edge, we'll still take those, and then down the line we may go through with the circular saw and cut off the live edge after the fact. So I thought we needed to raise that end up, but we did not. The center is pretty level, but we did just double check that end to figure out how much we need to take off. So have that. So we want to go ahead and rotate. Get the cant out from it. So the smaller side of the log is actually away from the laser. So what Dad did there was measure the other side of the concrete up and then put the yardstick over on this side where I could line it up with the laser. So the laser will actually go along the front of the log if I have it far enough back. So I'm just doing a confirm here, and then he puts it back there on what number it needs to be, so then I can raise and lower. So there I'm bringing it back just so I can see the laser line on the yardstick and then get it lined up on the number he said, so that whenever we run this through we end up with everything off of it from the bark. So then after that we kind of go back and forth on some 1s and 2s just to kind of get a variety of different things out of it. Some of the 2s and stuff will be used for like cutting boards and things like that, whereas the 1s we can kind of use for other projects, more universal. So while going through and doing all this, didn't have any issues with the H-bridge this go around. We're going on about 10 hours on this H-bridge, so not doing too bad compared to some of the other ones, so I'll keep you guys updated on how that is going. So here we have that Y piece that we want to go ahead and cut up. So it's almost the full width at the end, and how I mentioned earlier that the diesel engine is nice. Even with this big piece it kind of struggled a little bit, but we were able to get some really nice 2-inch pieces out of this, and I think 1 or 2 1-inch slabs. So hoping to use this for like a coffee table type thing. Got some really nice pieces out of it, and we went ahead and rotated it over, and we'll go ahead and get a piece off the top that will be like firewood, and then we're able to get a few more pieces out of it after that. Our rails are about 3 feet apart, and this is right at 3 feet, so I have to kind of get it just centered, just so on there, but able to get that. Had to do a quick water refill, and then we can start cutting on that again. So I really like the pieces we got out of this. Made some really nice wood, and kind of having that Y makes for some interesting wood other than just the center of the tree like you normally have. So again, for that last cut, you always have to mark it so that you have a known dimension, because you can't just go down with a simple set, because you'll get into the bed rails. So just measure and get it set. So here's what we got out of it. So that top piece still has some moisture in it, you can see, so you can really see how dark it is. The other ones just don't have as much moisture in it, so it's not as dark. But we have all those pieces from the Y, and then a couple of the pieces with live edge on it on the left, and then all the pieces on the right are from the camp. Stay tuned to see what we do with some of that wood after it dries. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.